Capolo says we're late. Sorry, Capolo.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just a minute ago, we said, Capolo's late.
Welcome to the Budrush.
Bellow.
What is going on, everybody? I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and you are all my buds. This is the Budrush Bellow, a live podcast. We haven't been around for a bit. It's been busy. The summer is a brutal time for just doing stuff, I think, sometimes. So we're here and we're ready to have a good time. But who is we? Well, I'm Tommy Fresh, as I said that. We are also joined, as always, by Mr. Viz, a.k.a. Gary. Can you hear him?
Can you hear me? Hi.
I think so.
You flip the coin, and sometimes you have to listen to me, and sometimes you don't. But you're losing either way. So, Bobby Z in chat.
Bobby Z. Oh my God.
Bobby Z says hola. Can everybody hear? Can everybody hear me? Shout out to Bobby Z.
I think so. I changed the settings before we
cool.
got ripping and tearing.
Ripping and having a blood dripping frenzy kind of night.
Yeah, actually, it's funny enough. The name of my current Leviah build, which I'm using, blood dripping frenzy, is, well, I get by with a little help from my frenzy, and I'm having good results with it. Not quite ready to share it yet, but Sigma did beat me last night with his Rhinar, and that was very
he beat
sad.
You into the morning in Sigma Town.
Yeah,
at like 4 a.m, wherever he was hanging out at.
Yeah. Oh no. I don't know if anybody could hear that, but my stream deck was just getting all a little wacky. But we got a great show for you all.
We missed you.
We got a bunch of stuff been going on. A whole set came out, and we're gonna crack some packs. Dusk Till Dawn, first time we're cracking the packs. Still have never opened a Fabled, so maybe this is my time. I doubt it. And then we got a special Scabskin moment of the week, where we're gonna kind of get a little serious. But after that, we're gonna talk a little bit about. Well, Gary's gonna actually give his takes on why he thinks that Vincent isn't really converting like we had hoped, and I'm gonna give my takes on why I think Leviah hasn't really been winning. Been converting into the top 8, so which is very, very exciting. I mean, we are all engines a go with Leviah right now. But before we get all to that, I do want to shout out to the sponsor of the show, which is you, the patron, which you can find the Patreon in the show notes. It helps keep the lights on, the mics hot, and we are also super close to 500 subscribers. So if you know someone, tell them to come subscribe, because then I will do the Leviah cosplay. Gary will be the rabbit, and it's going to be a blast.
Honestly, maybe just in time for Halloween. You get all those blood packets. It's going to be great. I'll be covered in it.
I mean, I hope we get it before Halloween. But hey, listen, we're on your guys' time, right? Whenever you guys want to subscribe, I'm not pressuring anyone. But Joel's in chat saying, "Where my Vin Simps at?"
Honestly, we're here. We're here. I'm building the deck right now. I'm building the deck for open play on Saturday. I'm ready to play some Vincent, but nothing's gonna. I just love characters that start with V. That's really where I live. I live in the V section of Talishar.
Interesting. What about Voldemort? Thoughts?
There's things he did right. There's things he did wrong. But
it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, mixed bag.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about that. And then I did a set review, as I always do, on Fresh and Buds, which is right there, where I talk about all the cards in the set with Bill from the Spike Feeders, and as per usual, I get some cards wrong, like in terms of the rating. So we're going to go through 5 cards that Gary thinks I got really wrong, and he's going to just roast me for it, and I will get to defend myself. So we got a great show. YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, all that. Spotify for Fresh and Buds and all the other audio streaming platforms. You can check it out there. Um, and you can give us a whole rating on Spotify. It helps us get more visible. And what else? Bud's Discord, the best place to be on the internet.
The absolute best.
And Twitter or X.
X.
We don't know. But Gary might be out of Twitter. We're gonna have to put something else up. We're gonna have to put his home address below his. It's gonna say Mr. Viz, the state capital of Philadelphia. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna ride that ship until it sinks, and because it'll be interesting. And you can continue to find me there at Fresh Buds Pod, whatever it's gonna be called. But that is what it is, folks.
Yeah, it's a weird world we're living in, you know. We got a movie about a bomb. We got a movie about doll. We got Twitter that's now a letter.
Yep.
So, but you want to open a pack or 3?
Yeah, let's see what. There's my elbow. Hey,
and here's
that elbows for the OnlyFans folks.
Yes.
That's,
we links are in the link tree. But yeah. So if you're new, we at every show we roll a dice, basically like we're rolling Scabskin leathers. We open as many packs as if we roll an action point, and then we can crack our gambler's gloves, or today we can crack our grasp of darkness. We're rolling on this beautiful cold snap mat provided to me by the bud Mo Bogsley. He went over to the Calling in Belgium and brought it back. Love it. So, shout out to Mo Bogsley. Mo.
All
right, here we go. Oh!
Is that a 6? Can you zoom in?
Oh, I can zoom in.
Zoom in. Let's get a look at that. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah,
things are going great. We
saved your gloves too. We saved your gloves.
Everything's coming up Levia these days. All right. Oh wait, let me bring up the right scene here. Not my face. All right, so we're cracking 3 packs.
3 packs, but no jokes, Tom. No jokes, Tommy. Let's keep it. Let's keep it light.
I take everything seriously. Always. 3 packs. Holy smokes. All right. Let me move this right here. Searing Ray. No. Not good. Seismic.
Great card, but it's a token.
Yeah, I mean it's literally a resource.
Yeah.
Celestial Reprimand blue. Not. I mean, I guess the blue's doing a lot of what you want anyway, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's seeing play in Prism. Here's a little side note. I built Prism and played it on Talistar the other night. I did not like it.
No. I gotta shout out the collation of these packs. I love that it's like, you get some light cards in the front, you get some shadow cards, you know what you're getting into. It's really good for, sorting afterwards.
Oh, sure. It'd be great for drafting too.
Yeah.
Tribute to the Legions of Doom. This card is very mid. Like a lot of those common Shadowbrute cards. Putrid Stirrings, which might be coming up a little bit later. The red we don't love, right?
Yeah. It's the red's fine, but the opportunity cost of it is a little,
sure.
tough.
What are your takes on Soul Cleaver? I mean, it's obviously sideboard only, but
yeah. So I kind of like it. I don't like that it only blocks 2 though.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you want to play the red because it's like a popper.
Yeah.
But I feel like if Prism is that big of a deal. Oh, hey Pat Shaw, welcome to the
Pat Shaw,
welcome
fellow
to the old
brute player.
Yes, welcome to the brute chat. But yeah, I feel like honestly, if we started to get a sideboard in Blitz, I feel like it would be a lot better.
Sure.
Because one, we have old Prism in Blitz, and Prism is still kind of insane in that format.
Yeah.
And you also have Chain, too. So you can Chain being able to play this as well as Levia, as well as Vincent. makes it a little bit more flexible. I don't know how good Bolton is in Blitz, but maybe a Blitz sideboard, maybe skirmish season.
Bolton's certainly good in constructed right now, classic constructed. So there's something to say about that, but I think the Harvester's a lot better. Battlefield Breaker, blue. No, it doesn't have 6. Foil, Resounding Courage. Target light warrior attack gets +2 if you charge a turn, create a courage token.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Because, like, the courage token is very good.
Bolton is on a different plane of existence right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's, flying Delta right here.
He's flying Delta. He's got the Delta Club. Blessing of Salvation. This card is not good. And then definitely Delight, which this card...
Oh, yeah. Hold on one sec. I just want to shout out to the tape, Painter's tape. Everybody's talking about Painter's shape chat right now. You got to, when you send out cards, Painter's tape's the move. Don't listen to Pat Shaw. Anyway.
I don't tape anything.
Definitely Delight. Definitely Delight is, beautiful card. You lose a life, you gain a life. They lose a life, you gain a life. It's
pretty good.
Beautiful card.
So would you just like tape the whole card, right?
Oh no, you do a little here. I've got cards going out to Greg. Where did I put
if I wanted to send this pack, right? I just tape it around.
Like do the old wraparound.
Sure.
Just set it up,
All right. I mean, I'm convinced.
Right.
All right. Let me put these cards over here. We got another pack to open. Jeez,
we got 2 more packs. Happy to have everybody back. Happy to have the chat flowing. Also, Cap, we're not going to acknowledge that Grasp of Darkness comment about the banned game. Just want to move right past it. It's a good card, but we're just gonna.
We get it. We get it. -4, -4.
We get it.
It was good for a hot minute, but
does it block?
Does it? Okay. I was like, does it? It doesn't block? That's crazy. I was like, that's how long I've been out of that game. I'm just like, cards. I mean, all those cards really suck. They're all no blocks.
Yeah. well, the creatures block.
No, the creatures block.
Let's just
All right. So. Resounding Courage again. We saw that.
Yeah.
Defender of Daybreak. Not great. Glaring Impact.
I like this one though. I like the art on it.
Oh, the art's awesome.
Yeah, the foil on that is just beautiful.
Overpower is not what we want it to be.
No. We want them to block.
Mm-hmm. But I guess the yellow might be okay. We don't want to pay 1, do we? For 1 for 3. Blistering Assault. I mean, might be cool in commoner, right?
Yeah, I think Rabbit was playing one in his list. Ooh, Tear Through the Portal though. This is a good common.
Choose a yellow in your banish zone. It gets go again. Is that good?
Maybe not the yellow, but
the red.
The red or the blue, depending on how heavily you color it.
Well, this card's busted. Phantom Wraith, 2 for 6.
I'm done. That's the show.
It's the show.
2 for 6. 0 for 6. 0 for 8. That's the show.
0 for 8. Beseech the Demagon. Not super thrilled with that card.
Yeah, now that foil is amazing.
It's very cool. You get the sword and then everything else. And
you get the reflection of the blade. You don't get anything else. Just like the sword is making all of the foil.
This one's like so tough. I forget how I rated it. I mean, it's like the deck building restriction on that card is brutal. Cleansing Light.
The blue and the yellow are probably the only ones you play, right? Like, there's no reason to play a red one unless you're playing against Dromai, but
yeah, pretty much, yeah. And then Beaming Bravado. This card is good.
This card's insane, yeah.
Yeah. You see a lot of this card, folks.
Yeah, it's interesting. So these cards saying if a yellow card was charged this way is very different than the Monarch cards because you do have to charge it off of that. So this is almost your starter.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can do like your take flights or your what is it? What is the one 0 for 4 in Bolton? I forget what it is. It kind of looks like it has Dorinthia on it.
Illumination?
No, it's the warrior one. I don't remember. Oh, it's like I don't know. I don't play. Oh, what do we got? Something shiny?
No, I don't know.
Oh.
Glaring Impact, we saw that. Break of
Mhm.
Dawn. To the Break of Dawn. I mean, I guess the red prevents 4 damage.
Yeah, the light commons are all over the place.
Yeah. Charge of the Light Brigade. The red's not the worst, but I mean it blocks 3, which is nice.
Better.
But
It's a better card in Yu-Gi-Oh.
I think Angelic Descent is very good
Oh,
though.
beautiful! It's a beautiful card. As a yellow, it's great. I like that all of them give go again.
Yeah.
You know, and +2 to an angel makes it 6. Okay, next card's kind of broken.
Okay, this card. All right.
Yeah.
Too good. No,
Next card, like, have you? Yeah, that card can like kill every angel. Like,
yeah. Okay.
pretty wild.
Take it
Pretty
easy.
wild.
Tribute to Demolition is not the worst of these.
Okay.
Certainly not the best.
What is the worst?
I think the first one we saw, the tribute to the Legions of Doom. This being a 2 for 8 and turning off Blood Debt is not the worst, but it's also not really that good. We already
Tear
saw
through the
this.
portal.
Same color.
Searing Ray.
Searing Ray. Whatever.
Ooh, envelope.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't even say it because now it's gonna stuck it. Envelope.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
This card's very good.
Rotten.
No, that card's awesome.
Flail's so good.
Flail is
Honestly,
awesome.
Great packs.
I mean, not rare was.
We rolled a 6, so we got to provide 3 pack openings tonight. Doesn't happen much.
It's true. Content is king.
Mm-hmm.
Marketing is queen. Gary Vee told me that. I don't know. All right.
So Scabskin moment of the week.
We got a special Scabskin moment of the week this week because guess what? The Flesh and Blood community rolled low this week.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, our dear friend Paul, aka the Tall Timmy, has decided to leave the hobby, leave content creation for whatever reason. We don't know. I would appreciate if we don't really speculate a lot. I know a lot of people have been, and that's okay. It's natural to. But that being said, Tall Timmy, he used to watch this show, and he's been on Fresh and Buds, and he's hung out with us, and he was always just a wonderful, wonderful guy.
Big bun energy all around.
Big bun energy, and I would be remiss not to bring him up. I did a little tribute to him at the end of tomorrow's episode of Fresh and Buds, and Greg, aka Darth Prentice, in chat gave me. Okay, Pat's like, I can't believe he murdered someone. All right, not that kind of speculation. Greg, aka Darth Prentice, gave me a great idea to drink some PBR tonight in honor of the Tall Timmy. If you don't know, he came to New Jersey, Pro Tour New Jersey, and fell in love with PBR. As hard as that is to believe, but that's the kind of guy Paul was, right? He's not dead. He's not dead. That's the kind of guy Paul is. He finds the underdog, and he loves it. And I'm hoping that the reason that he left this and that we're all rolling low is because he rolled high. So cheers to Paul.
Cheers to family.
Cheers to family. Okay. Gary's been watching Fast and Furious movies, if you can't tell. But Paul's great, and if you want to say anything, we'll drink first, and then we'll toast again.
Yeah, a little tap.
Oh, yeah. That's PBR, baby.
Yeah, so I only met Tall Timmy once, and it was at Baltimore. He was sitting at the table doing his little play a game against Timmy, and you could win a pack. And I brought out the chain deck, the OTK chain deck, and it was so great hanging out with him, playing a game with him, because I like talked to him online, but great person, and yeah, his tribute in the roast was so good too, just absolute guy, just going off for 5 minutes about you. He was a big fan of the Buds, a big fan of the whole game, and so whatever he's doing now, I wish him the best. And it's you know it's a sad day without Timmy in chat.
Yeah, I think it's especially sad. I think it's sad because of the impact that he had, and but all that being said, I hope that it was for the best. But it was worth mentioning because he was always a great bud, and obviously there was a lot of crossover in team and the buds, and it was cool. And I hope he's doing well. I reached out to him. I got the email back and forth with him. He sounds like he's doing okay. I didn't ask about anything, but I just wanted to tell him that we're all thinking about him, sending us some love. So, and he sends it back to all of us and the buds. So, he's the best. But enough of that sad shit. No.
Yeah, he's done. We're moving on.
Moving on, Paul. Sorry. But yeah, no, he's the best. Another cheers to him. How about that? Yeah. If you're drinking, have a sip. If you're not, that's okay too. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of the show. Gary.
Some would say the meat and greet of potatoes for this hero.
Oh, I mean that card is quite good. So Gary, we had 2 Battle Hardens and some PTI events, and they were very interesting. First Battle Harden had a wide variety of heroes in the top 8. Second one, not as much, but still some contenders there. Levi made both, and Rhea Adams on Icelander won both. So, one thing that was missing from those top 8s was Vincent, which I think you and I can agree that Vincent is certainly a potent hero, right? And I mean, it's a Rune Blade, so kind of already off to a hot start, right? As we've seen with the other 3 Rune Blades we've had, it doesn't take much to push it to a point of excellence. So, yeah, I wanted to get your take as a Rune Blade fanatic and a new Vincent player. Why do you think we aren't seeing Vincent in these top 8s? I'm not even talking about winning because, whatever. It turns out Rhea Adams is the best hero in the game. So, right now in this meta, so it doesn't even matter what hero you're playing.
She kicked my ass in Pittsburgh, and I think she won that event in Pittsburgh. That Battle Hard.
Oh, really?
Pittsburgh. Oh, the sealed one.
The sealed one. Oh, that was a Battle Hard. Oh my god.
Yeah.
All right.
absolute destroyer. But anyway, yeah. So Vincent. So we actually kind of in our little Fresh Mafia chat, we talked a little bit about Rune Blades the other day, and I did say something pretty drastic where I said that Viserai was a bad hero. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to talk about Vincent here, but I think it's important. I think it's important to understand that Rune Blade as a class, its drawback is intentionally you're balancing physical and arcane damage, right? Mm-hmm. So you're balancing these non-attacks and these attacks. Sometimes it doesn't even matter that the drawback doesn't matter because heroes like Chain and Briar, you play Channel Mount Heroic and then you realize that who cares about balance,
Yeah.
But something like Briar where you just kind of you can kind of just eat a whole turn and just punch out 20, 30 points of damage consistently with on hits, draw a card. It's very easy to be able to provide a lot of damage output without much work. Chain was very similar, right? You set up these turns where you basically you get a value single turn by getting go again, and then you're building up your banish zone for every time you've done that. So you can end up with a 4-card hand and maybe 5 cards you can play out of banish zone. So 9 cards, that's a lot. That's a lot of cards. How do you deal with that damage? You don't. The Hero Living Legends, and then we move on. But Vincent doesn't have any of that, and doesn't have any of the stuff that Briar or Chain has, other than the card pool. Right, exactly, Joel. She's very much like a blocked. She could be both a heavily blocking hero and a heavily aggressive hero because she has the card pool to support. Like, she has the card pool to support the same hands that Chain could play. You know, bounding Demagon into whatever the Rift Skitter. I think that's Rift Skitter. Yeah, to all these different ways to different go again. You know, got Mauvrion Skies. Like, the cards are broken, right? But she plays with the 3-card hand every game. And I know that you talked about this, and we talked about this a few weeks ago. The fact that you can play your cards from Banish doesn't really mean you have a 3-card hand, but Runeblade hands are not going to be these Guardian hands where you have all these 3 blocks and you're able to, you know, just do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's you're building a deck that has basically 20 cards that if you draw 4 of them, like non-attacks, you build, if you have 20 non-attacks in your deck. It's not like Dorinthia, where if you have 20 non-attacks and you draw those 4 non-attacks, you can still buff your weapon. It's like, oh, I have 4 Mauvrion Skies, and I have 4, you know, just like cards that make a rune chant, and I'm not providing any value to taking cards from my opponent. So she really has this inconsistency that is existing in the Runeblade class that kind of hasn't been a burden for the Runeblades that have been broken or, you know, taken advantage of that. And I think the same reason why Viserai doesn't convert is very similar to why Vincent doesn't convert. You know, you see the tournament with, I think the last tournament had like 20 Viserais, right?
Mm-hmm.
But none of them were in the top 8. And it's not that Viserai is a bad deck. It's that he doesn't have the consistency, the reliability to be able to say, I can overcome any matchup. You know, Lexi can just punch out a bunch of cards and then play Codex of Frailty and then have a whole hand next turn, right? But Viserai can do that. Vincent can kind of do that, but you kind of need to have like the perfect hand. And like Joel was saying, if you have the perfect hand at the perfect time, you're able to do that. But you're starting your turn every turn, getting rid of a card in your hand and hoping you're able to play it.
Mm-hmm.
If you could like play the card from Banish, if by paying so if you could pay for Runegate from your hand, that would make it significantly better. But you can't. You can't pay for it, right? So you're basically just sitting there hoping to be able to make 2-3 rune chants, or you banish a card that doesn't matter, and then you play them directly from hand. But that means you took damage. And so, yeah, you basically have to like balance this. Like, I'm taking a bunch of damage, tanking to be able to play a big burst hand with a Mauvrion Skies and a couple of Rune Gates, because Deathly Wail, right? That card is insane. If you pay 3, and for each hero that lost life at the end of the combat chain, make rune chants, it's awesome because you can just save rune chants for the end of you could swing with your weapon and save rune chants for the end of the turn. That's awesome. Like, there's no other way you can really do that in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is you need to be able to play that card. And if you don't have, you know, the blue and then a Deathly Wail, you can't play the Deathly Wail unless you have 3 rune chants, because you would have had to block with. Yeah, I don't know. I get into this loop in my head, right, where I'm like, every single card that costs resources in Vincent actually requires you to have 3 cards in hand.
Yeah,
and it makes me not want to play her that much, like, or it makes me want to consider playing this 1 costs with Tunic. I think we've been into this rant. I talked about it a bunch.
On
the Steelblade Showtime, but like being able to play a 1 cost off of Tunic really mitigates that 3-card hand resist, because you need to be able to banish a card. If you're not going to play that card, you need to be able to play 1 card in your hand, and then you need to be able to pay for that card. So it's just like it's a huge balance. It's difficult to do that on an 8-round tournament. I mean, you know, Flake and DM Armada couldn't keep their sanity for 8 rounds, let alone like how's a Vincent going to be able to keep up that win rate? I mean, I'm not saying like if you learn the tempo and you learn when to do it, she can't convert, because you see people like Zach Bunn who are able to do this on Viserai and have this experience with these heroes. But she just came out like 2 weeks ago, right? Like, she's not gonna have, people aren't gonna have the reps to understand that rhythm. I mean, think about how long it took for the Kano combo to be discovered. You know, we're not gonna see stuff like Vincent, and people honestly aren't adventuring into her, right? There's not that many people playing her. I saw that the Runaways, they built a list. I think Cody Williams was on stream this weekend.
Yeah,
Um, and he was playing something with Pummel, which is really cool. But you think about Pummel, right? You're gonna have to pay for the Pummel, you're gonna have to hold the Pummel, and you're gonna need to be able to have the rune chance in the Banish Zone. And I think it works really well and constructed much better than Blitz.
sure.
But it's really it's a really weird dance.
What?
What experience do you have playing against her?
Against a lot. A
Yeah.
lot of people are
Oh, yeah.
playing her on Talishar. I played against her at Armory,
Yeah.
and I do want to shout out to Mortal. You brought up a great point. The Data Doll starts with 3-card hands and is in the top 2 mechanologist heroes. So
Yeah, anything's possible, right? You know, we say it in my work. In my work, we do with a lot of sample size stuff. We do a lot of surveys. I'm like, you know, you can do anything with a good sample, and
oh yeah, that's a great sample.
a sample of 2. Oh yeah,
Top
2 heroes.
I think, and I've played against a lot of Vincent, and Vincent is certainly really good. It has some really weak spots. You know, I'm mainly playing Leviah, right? And Vincent actually has a pretty decent play into Leviah. Obviously, right now, Leviah has a lot of spiky turns that can kind of switch that around. But I've also been on the back foot immediately against Vincent, which is tough to come back from, especially when they're pushing 6 rune chance at you on top of a 6 attack that is going to make you get punished when the combat chain closes as well. And it's got like shadow puppetry, and you know, it's like, what are they going to follow up with? They're going to attack with Nebula Blade or Rosetta Thorn or the other we just opened it, the flail.
Yeah.
But I think all this inherent issues, right, that you're talking about, kind of is begging the question, ooh, maybe it's what else is popular right now in the meta, right? I think one of the standouts is Lexi, right? Lexi has these on hits. Like Rangers have these on hits, and on hits are going to be the death of a hero that can only really reliably know that they're going to have a certain amount of cards, right? Right. If you're going to always be down a card and you have some on hits, that's going to make things difficult. Things get a little wacky, right? Codexes are really tough, right? Because if you don't have an arsenal, all of a sudden it's without even, you know, doing that. And then on top of that, I don't really know how the Icelander matchup is, but I can't imagine it's good, right? Because
it really depends, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're doing so in chat, Joel's said I've learned to play a much slower methodical match. Yeah, that's kind of how the Vincent list I have. It's very much focused on, you know, blocking 6 and then keeping like a blue and then any rune gate 2. So, you know, Phantom Wraith or Widespread Ruin, or, you know, trying to set up a Runeblood incantation turn. But again, like Runeblood incantation, playing that card, you need to have 3 cards. It's just like it's so brutal to get that card out without Tunic, as powerful as it is. But yeah, I think that we're seeing the issues with Runeblade and like the stuff that I've been, you know, crying about every time I, you know, draw 4 non-attacks or draw 4 attacks or 4 reds or whatever. I cry about it in my little corner whenever I have my little purple cards and hold my pillow, you know. But Vincent also just, you know, she suffers from this the idea, like you said, the on hits, they're brutal, right? So if you're building an aggressive deck and you need to take an off turn, you're on that back foot. And Vincent is able to push like a good 1 card hand if every other turn, right?
Yeah.
Which is nice, right? But like it's about consistency, I think, and we're in a world now where the game is the heroes are consistent enough that like you got to know what to expect when you're going to draw 4 cards, you know?
Yeah.
And she's not there yet. I think people maybe need to hone a list a little bit. I don't know if it's a list between like something like the Art of War lists or, you know, something like the Revel into a bunch trying to play a few attacks a turn. I know Pat Shaw, Painter's Tape Pat, he was talking about this OTK list. I saw DM Armada's video on that, where you're trying to play like a bunch of cards. You get these Eloquence token to be able to play a Funeral Moon to be able to basically do like 30 plus damage in a turn, and it's a really cool combo. But it's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing that whole game? And what are you leaking? Like when you play against Dash, when you play against Lexi, you know, um, you really have this upkeep cost that is just not kind of worth it. Like for me, when I'm reading Vincett's cards, I'm like, these are really cool. These are really cool. But then I look at Viscerai's cards and I'm like, well, I'm just going to play those because I get to play my whole hand. I'm not forced to do something.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't love two costs, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of these are good points. It could really just shake down to the meta's not friendly to it right now. And I think Lexi is a lot of that. It's arguably still the best deck. It's just not quite as good since the Bullseye Bracers went away, but it's still good enough.
It is important to note that sorry, my headset's dying.
It's all good.
That Lexi doesn't really play Arcane Barrier anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, there's like the Spell Void 2 arms, but other than that, like they're not really like Viscerai's having a field day into her a little bit with meet and greets and such. So I don't know. I mean, I think you're right. I think if Lexi kind of slows down a little bit, it's definitely a force to be reckoned with. But I have a hard time. I just with her, I see the inconsistency that I live whenever I play Viscerai.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's my experience with it. But I totally see the power potential.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, Lexi's going to be in a weird spot for a little bit, you know, with this nerf. Does it go more ice? Ice doesn't feel that great without Bullseye Bracers kind of having that extra little push, right? Because you're sacrificing a lot of power to add disruption. Bullseye Bracer was kind of that little bit of closing power. And
especially with Golden Shot. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was excellent. So who's to say, really? You know, it's kind of interesting. I'm excited to see how it shakes out. But the next thing is, well, we got Levias, right? So Levias was the talk of the town with Dusk Till Dawn, no doubt about it. Got the Consumed, we got Slithering Shadow Peed, we got some other tools, but those are the main two, right? Yeah. And we are seeing them top 8. They had never top 8 Battle Hardens before. And Pat Eschke top 8'd Cincinnati. And then I'm really sorry.
Jesse, I think his name was Jesse.
Jesse top 8'd.
Something I forget his last name. I think it's Jesse.
Yeah, so Jesse top 8'd at Chicago. So we got 2 top 8s. I believe both lost in the first round of top 8.
Yeah, I think. Or did Pat have to catch a flight? I heard maybe that was a joke.
Oh, I don't know. Pat said he played poorly initially. That's what I heard, but maybe he did have to catch a flight. Well, it was Cincinnati, and he's a Pittsburgh bud. So, I mean, I would imagine you would drive from Cincinnati to Pittsburgh.
Maybe it was the PTI event I'm thinking of.
Maybe it was the PTI.
Because that was the leave. That was the Jesse Kennan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the PTI event because he was playing Levi, and Levi just advanced.
Gotcha. Oh, also Pat Shaw brings up a good point. Scouting Fleshbag is a huge bonus for Levi and Rhinar right now. So the question is, why isn't Levi winning these top 8s? Well, you know, we're only seeing one make the top 8, so you got 1 in 8 chance. The Icelander has always been a weird matchup, and these deck lists are on the Budrush Bellow Claws.
Oh, okay.
It's Ethan's list that he's kind of shared with the Runaways, at least that's to my knowledge. And you know, obviously they made some changes. Like I know Pat pulled out the good night, Joel. Have a good one. Thank you for tuning in. And Pat pulled out the red Gravelings and put in yellow Dread Screamers, which kind of to get the consume flip to be a little bit more consistent. least that's my understanding of it, and it's worked. He made top 8. So all that being said, is when you're on the clause plan, like it's really hard, I think, into Icelander, right? Because sometimes your best bet into Icelander is to just swing a weapon, or to just like slam a 6 or a 9 or a 7 or whatever, an 8, and force them to deal with it, because they're going to disrupt things. Now, something that's interesting, and I don't know, I don't know for sure if Jesse was running them, but I don't think they were. I think I would start to expect, if Icelander's really the truth, I would expect Numbskulls to start making these lists.
Oh,
Numbskulls are just awesome, right?
yeah.
Like it's like, yeah, sure, red Arctic incarceration me. I don't care. Numbskull.
I was really happy that they gave you a card this set.
What, Numbskull?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. He's so nice. But yeah, that could be it, right? Like it could just be another meta thing, and also it's just, and Pat Shaw said it again, you got to roll the dice. It's a Scabskin roll sometimes, and
Yeah.
sure, you could do well all tournament, make it the top 8 against the best players in that tournament. They're going to capitalize on your ones, right? That's just what it is, and yeah, I don't know. I like Budrush Billows. I like running claws, but I think we got so much cool stuff from Dusk Till Dawn. I don't think it's really necessary anymore, and I would like folks to kind of evaluate that. I know that it's the highest upside, right? Budrush Bellow breaks the math of the game, right? It just a huge turn, and then on top of that you get Art of War already, and you could just slam people. But if you don't see those cards, that you lose that game, right? I was playing a Budrush Bellow version at Armory last week. I didn't see a Budrush Bellow or an Art of War the whole turn. I pitched the Budrush Bellow turn 0 to pay for something.
Oh wow.
I was like,
oh
okay.
Gosh.
Yeah. I was like, all right, I'll get to the other ones, and then hopefully I get that one late game. And that's we actually have a late game now. So Budrush Bellow is tough. My list that I'm testing right now doesn't even run it. I'm not running claws, so I don't think there's really much of a need to.
Are you doing Hellhammer?
Hellhammer main, and then Hexagore side. Hexagore is awesome right now. I think Hexagore could just be the main board, because it's the best weapon to just have when you want to flip consume, because then you can just block down to a blue or a yellow, swing with Hexagore, pass, flip, which is awesome. But
2 for 12 is really good. So
yeah, 2 for 12, yeah, it's awesome. And then also is really cool. Ethan posted something today that Joshua Scott confirmed that if you played a Dread Screamer after your Leviathan consumed and you're banishing things from your graveyard, before they flip face down, they're still face up, because it kind of creates a layer, and you can play Doomsday if that would bring you up to 6. And so like Doomsday is not as much of a liability in the deck with that knowledge. But yeah, who knows? I think it's probably just, it's tough. Like top 8 is really hard to play, and I think that probably is what it comes down to. But talking to a lot of people, Levi is on the forefront of a lot of people's minds. So Pat says, yeah, you get 6 blood debt quickly because you don't even care, right? You're just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. I'll build up blood debt. It's just going to help me in late game because I'm going to have more stuff that I can play. And
yeah,
Hexagore's awesome.
I do love that for you guys. You get to have a real end game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a whole other game.
Yeah. Well, that was the problem with our end game before, right? It's so, without like a Budrush Bellow or maybe an Art of War, it's so hard to break 12 damage, because most decks could just block the 12. So that was what we needed to do pre-consumed, was just like you had to try to push 13 at some point. So I don't know. That's kind of our discussion for today. But now I guess Gary gets to tell me how wrong I was. So
Yeah.
if you want to kind of talk about what we're about to do here.
Yeah. So this segment is called the Fresh Five. Essentially, we do not a little tier list, but essentially like a little draft of things that we like or things that we could pick. And each week we pick a new, we pick a new topic. One week we drafted mics, because the mics were doing really well in the in
Mm-hmm.
the standings. One week we did, just like shadow cards we liked. But this week I get to talk about all the things Tommy does wrong. And this is a great week. It's a great week.
Hmm.
So for my first, so we this week.
Oh wait, Gary. Before we
week,
do, I just want
yeah,
to address Pat's question. I don't know if
yeah.
it was for us, but he said like, if you could, would you straight up swap Hexagore for Claws? And I think my answer is yes right now. And I think you could drop Bloodrush Bellow if you're not running the Claws, because you don't really get, like, you get good value out of Bloodrush Bellow, but like you kind of need to hit a Dread Screamer to get any kind of go wide kind of stuff. Like, sure, Hexagore for 8's awesome, but then that's your turn unless you have a second action point. So you get to throw in some kind of replacement. I really like Blood Dripping Frenzy. I know it doesn't help you go wide, but it turns off Blood Debt and lets you hit with a big beefy attack, and works with Hexagore because it says attacks. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, so during the last episode of Fresh and Buds, Tommy and Bill talked to us for 6 hours about all the cards in their set, and they did all this work for us, and then Tommy said, "Tell me what I got wrong this week." So I rewatched a bit of it, and there's a lot of things that got wrong. I mean, mainly Tommy, not Bill. We love Bill.
Okay,
but
all right, relax.
But so for my first one, I don't remember all of it. Obviously, this is one of the largest sets we've gotten, 6 hours. But during my rewatch and the ones that jumped out to me in the beginning, I think that you really undervalue the Archangel of Judgment.
Okay.
I don't remember what you rated it, but I think it was more like I think it was more of a stale. It was like, I think it was the most specific angel of them all. And I think you were right. I think you were right in that it was most specific. But I think you really didn't. You could have gone a little further for the listeners. And
sure.
I think there's something lacking with your assessment.
And what was that?
So, well, I didn't know if you wanted to respond. I don't know if you wanted to fill my whole.
Well, no. You tell me what I got wrong, and I'll defend it, and and then we'll let the people decide.
Yeah. So you really focused on the shadow heroes, but you forgot that banishing cards is a very common thing for a lot of different heroes in the game. Most particularly, you can do it against Kano. You can force them at instant speed to be able to like do their combo out of order, which is absolutely backbreaking to them. And like being able to tutor it up and having quick access to it makes it a significantly better toolbox card than I think that you guys. I mean, obviously, you haven't. This is like your first set. This is the set. You looked at the set. This is what you think. I'm not.
No, we had to be 100% right.
Yeah, 100%. You miss all the shots you take. But yeah, and so like things like Viscera uses Rattlebones. That can if you're playing Archangel of Judgment into like a Rattlebones play, you can literally wipe my whole turn. And there's a lot of different things to banish, and so I would have just spent more time focusing on the other things other than Shadow.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't really think about other heroes in that way. And I do think I've come around on the card in general, because you can only play one anyway. The cost to do that is really, really low, and it still flips into a 4/4 angel.
Yeah,
that
does the same thing, right?
Which does the same thing, but you got to banish from soul. And I kind of underestimated the they use, because like a lot of those, I mean, in Kano is probably one of the cases that it makes, like it probably would work more often. But I
Yeah.
was thinking, uh, I didn't even think about how Halo really kind of helped with a lot of these other things you can do.
Oh
You
yeah.
put a herald in, you go grab it, you throw it onto the arena and flip something. Good against Katsu, good against Kano, good against obviously the Shadow Heroes, and some other things. What else was there? Oh, I mean, Viscerai's got Rattle Bones, and yeah, there are some useful stuff that kind of come up, and you're right. I didn't cover all of them.
You got to be comprehensive. If you're going to sit there for 6 hours, you got time.
Well,
You might as well.
I would say there's a point against being comprehensive. But yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
um,
What's
yeah.
next?
So my next one, I have Putrid Stirrings. So I believe you guys called the card a bit mid. And I don't disagree that it's not like a great like the best card. It's a common, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not you're not gonna see it in every list. But I think it's one of those cards that like is glue for these end game decks, that on these turns where in Vincent you can keep a whole hand, you can kind of keep a card like Putrid Stirrings to be able to push your hand over the edge, and
Mm-hmm.
and like with the opportunity cost of it just being a blue that blocks three. I think that Vincent in particular will really likes cards like this. I mean, obviously Chain isn't going to play this card because it says Rune Gate, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think people should undervalue Putrid Stirrings, especially the blue, because if you are playing a blue heavy deck, a +3 that is a blue is not easy to find.
Yeah.
Like Slogism, I think isn't Slogism like is +4 at a blue, right? So like
So,
+3 on a blue is really nice. I think Shade and Scream is blue, right, too, but you have to banish a card from your hand, right? So
yeah.
yeah. So I really like Putrid Stirrings blue in particular.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I've seen it played actually. Doesn't it? It's certainly good, but it felt good for me to see them pay into that, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
But that being said, I could see the blue. That one came down to, well, you just don't know how the deck construction is going to come, because there are a ton of playable
Oh
blues
yeah.
already. So, but I'll take that one. I'll take that one. What's next?
Yeah, and it's a Shadow Rune Blade card too, right? So
Yeah,
you get the enchant trigger.
true, true, true.
My next one, Censor.
Oh, okay.
So I know that like the concept of naming a card is not a very like common thing that you should have to do in the game.
Yeah,
But the opportunity, if you're playing at a high level, I would consider this card an expert level card, because
sure.
if you're looking at a 1 for 5, that's going to take 2 cards, right? It's going to take 2 cards that you paid 1 resource for, often played off of a tunic, and then you can say, so in Flesh and Blood in particular, there are cards that people are playing 9 of,
Yeah,
right? So there's like, it's not like Magic or a lot of other games where there's 4 copies of something. This is like, can be nearly 10% of somebody's deck can be a card, you know. And if you're presenting this card, and obviously you could play it in like an illusionist deck where you can look at their hand or some sort of, you can combo to get the answer to what you should play Censor for.
yeah,
But if there's a specific card that, Mauve Shrill or some certain decks have these cards that will absolutely wreck you and take away all your momentum. And a two card, it's almost a warmonger's diplomacy, but it's an attack.
yeah,
Um, and it blocks 3, and it's a generic, and we don't have many generics that block 3 that aren't very good.
yeah. Okay. I actually really agree with you here. My rating on it was based on, from what I remember, was how often will this make the cut?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to find room for this in it, like when you're going into a tournament that's going to see a lot of different decks. Unless it's like the Pro Tour, where
Hmm.
where folks are kind of like really streamlined on certain builds and what you play. Um, I think if you go to a calling, and I know this to be true, you run into a Riptide, and you're like, I know exactly what to expect. It's something different.
A
I don't
win.
know what they're
Oh,
doing.
sorry.
What? I
A
was saying,
win.
a win. Yeah. No, no, no. You very funny. But no, you run into a lot of
Mhm.
stuff where, for sure, if this card was exactly like, if you knew what to name every single time, like Pro Tour, I think this could make lists, but it's hard to risk a whole slot for it. I think,
Yeah.
and that was
I
where the rating came from. I think the card's very powerful. I mean, like
Mhm.
Chains of Eminence made play, like saw play at
Yeah.
one point. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I see it as basically like a CNC for people who know what the cards do, like
Yeah,
all the cards do. You know what I mean? Like if you're playing into like if you play against Alexi, like you're gonna want to turn off probably like Bolton Shot. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
you're playing against like that anything that you know that they have 9 of, right? But the thing is you don't even have to name anything. You're just presenting 5 damage and you just like you're just seeing what they do.
yeah.
And in the event that they, yeah, so I definitely agree with you where it's like you can I afford this card in my slot, but it's also like a one cost, so it's very easy to play that card.
Sure, sure. I had it played against me already.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I let it
and what?
hit. They said Dread
And,
Screamer, and I had a Slithering Shadowpeed and a Boneyard Marauder in my hand. So I was good either way.
yeah,
but but yeah, no. I mean, they named the right thing. Although
yeah,
I only had 2 cards in hand, I don't think they should have named Dread Screamer, because what could I do after it?
yeah.
If I
Well,
block that way.
people are learning, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it
Well,
makes sense.
yeah, yeah. No, it was the right card to pick, but I think like if they had thought about it a little bit more, they would have been like, well, even if they had the Dread Screamer,
Right.
what do they do after that? Like, whatever.
You almost need to have like a 2 hour coaching session with somebody who knows like like 3 or 4 different versions of each hero and like you have a notes list
Yeah.
you look at before you're like, okay, is this a sensor matchup? And it's like, what are my 3 instances of what should I name? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. But what's number 4?
Yeah. So number 4, I alluded to it earlier. Warmongers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Warmongers. So yeah, that card is really good, really annoying. I'm sure Levi would agree that that card is really annoying.
Yeah.
Um, I think the fact that so I was messaging with with Mara during the tournament that was going on because I was curious. Everybody was playing Mara's list and Dromai, and I was like, "How's Viserai into your list?" And it's just I just got a crying shower a gif in response. I'm just like, "Okay, all right, we eating good, we eating good, we eating good." But then she's like, some people are playing Warmongers, and that's a shutdown card for Viserai.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
So
yeah. I mean, I could
egg on your
defend it
face.
right now. It was one of the last cards we it was a long video. We were like, oh yeah, whatever, like it's kind of
Yeah,
doing
I'm tired.
stuff that I because you read it and it says like each opponent, you're like, oh, this sounds like really
Each
fun for each player.
player.
Yeah, yeah, no, each player. It sounds, oh, this
Yeah.
sounds like really fun for like UPF, like it must be a UPF card, and we just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I didn't even think about like, because like
Yeah.
the thing with this set is you're so unlike other supplemental sets. This is very for 4 heroes, just four
Yeah.
heroes, and then a little bit for the heroes that share classes with them. It was very much like a regular draft set, and Icelander wasn't even a card that I thought.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and then some. I think somebody commented like almost the day of. They were like, actually, yeah, no, they were like, oh, they commented. I forget who it was. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting right now. But they commented, I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait for 6 hours of this. And then 6 hours later, they commented again, Warmongers didn't really age well. I was like, oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, I've known that one was a miss,
Yeah.
but that's all right. You know, that's one like that goes to show that maybe not the best deck builder out here, but yeah.
Well, there's a difference between being a bad deck builder and being a bad card evaluator, you know?
I think we hit most of them pretty well.
No, you did. Honestly, you guys did. I was having trouble finding 5, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
What's the last one? What is the 5th one?
you know what the last one is. You guys said that Wraith was a mid card.
Phantom Wraith?
Yeah, you guys said it was like you don't really want it. It's like a low stale. It was like a mid stale.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I just watched it.
Oh.
It was you guys. So it was really funny because when I was watching it, you were like, "Oh yeah, Widespread Ruin, an amazing card." You know, it's just that Widespread Ruins cost 2, awesome, and then Deathly Delight cost 2, awesome. Phantom Wraith, it's whatever. You know, you don't want to be playing it. And I'm like, I get it. It's not it doesn't have an on hit, but it's the butter. It's the butter of the deck.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah.
It's the amplify the Arknight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm actually surprised that I said that, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, maybe my thought was like, yeah, this is going to just go into the deck, but it's not exciting. But no, it's certainly very good. I will say when they play the Phantom Wraith and not one of the widespreads, I'm like, thank God.
But, right. Well, you can only play 3 of the widespreads.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But no, that's fair. That's fair. I should have rated it pretty. I mean, not like super high, but like it should have had the context of like this is you got to play it, right?
Yeah. I mean that card is it forces you to block with 3 cards at all of the colors. If you want to block all the damage off of a blue Phantom Wraith, you need 3 cards, and that's like really hard to you find that on a common.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. Hey, listen, you're
Yeah. I mean, they're he did a great job though. You and Bill really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. No. I think that each set we've gotten a little bit better at evaluating these cards. And that's the nice thing about Bill too, right? Like we both kind of teach each other things. Like I was like, let me blow your mind with Hellhammer. And he pointed out the thing with Decimator Axe, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's crazy!" And it was a lot of fun, and to only have 5 real misses. Although I will say we were pretty low on Envelop in Darkness.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of a little bit low on it myself. Actually,
really, it's interesting because I keep saying it.
Yeah, no, it's a great card. Like it's one of those. It's really good. You play it off Tunic. It's great. But I think that like it's not as good as some of the other cards, right? And it's really good. It's very good, right? You probably play the red all the time. But it's not like it's one of those things where you either need to have it on the Tunic turn or you need to have 3 cards.
It's not the new Mauve.
Right.
Yeah.
Like and most of like when I was playing with my Vincent list, I would have almost just would have rather had block 6 and then a blue, so that way I could pitch it into Grasp, rather than having to take 4 damage or whatever to be able to play all that stuff on an off Tunic turn. But that's just that's just me.
Yeah. I guess like the play pattern that I am seeing the most is like when you don't have any rune chance, you go Grasp, Envelop, something, Phantom Wraith, Widespread.
Yep.
And that is a pretty brutal 1 card hand? No, 2 card hand.
Yeah, it's actually you need 3 because Grasp will always cost you 3.
Yeah. Well, if you had no rune chance, it only costs you 2.
Well, you will always have a rune chant.
Well, I mean, I'm watching people banish regular Rune Blade cards all the time on Talus
Oh,
Shop.
really?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
but then don't they? You always, if you banish a card, you start with a rune chant.
Is it no matter what, or is it
Yeah.
Shadow Rune Blade card? Oh, okay. Then
No, it's always
maybe
yeah.
okay, yeah. Then I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
But
because the card I'm
yeah.
losing to the card.
Oh yeah. It's a great card. I think you guys were mid on it, but I also think that it's good, but it's very situational. It's not
Mhm.
like I still think Phantom Wraith is better than it, just from
Sure.
the ability to be able to present that 3 card damage.
Well, you need to have your Rune Gate cards.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't need a 1 cost block 2 that makes a rune chant.
There are other things, but hey, listen. I mean, I do like Vincent. I'm gonna build Vincent. Sounds crazy, but I'm doing it.
Do it. You got the husk.
Try and stop me.
You got creepers.
Yeah, I still got creepers from when I played Viscera.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I got creepers. I bought the new block 2 chest. If that's the play, not sure if it is. I see a lot of people play it.
Oh, it's so good, dude.
Yeah.
It's so good. I didn't even get to talk about my Kano lines, my plans in Kano. Oh, baby, let's go.
I guess that's next week. But
next week.
Well, that's gonna do it for the show. We're gonna talk about meal of the week. Greg's probably long asleep, but Greg wanted me to talk about my curry recipe, and I'll go through that. But I'll let you do meal of the week first.
Yeah, so I had a very interesting meal of the week this week. We went to I took a PTO day, and I went to Shady Maple. I took Friday off, and I took my friend Josh, who's from Vegas, to Amish country, and that was a great time. We went for breakfast, and he got to experience the Amish Disneyland or Dutch Wonderland, but not Dutch Wonderland, because Dutch Wonderland's a kids theme park. We got matching Shady Maple shirts. We did a whole thing. It was great. We went to Hershey Park, and then we went to the York State Fair. Until it was your classic. What else are you gonna do in Central PA besides the things we did on this road trip kind of trip?
Yeah.
And it was a good time. It was nice to it was basically my old stomping grounds. And so it was nice to take my friend who's never really seen a horse and buggy before go through and we'll have to wait for a horse and buggy.
Really? You had never seen that?
No, my friend from Vegas.
Oh, sorry. I misunderstood.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, no, I've been late to school because of horse and buggy.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you got to feed those horses better, brother.
No.
Shady Maple, Central PA. Shout out to Central PA, the Channel Bleak Expanse.
Mm-hmm.
Great place out there, and pays my bills. Curry. Steph Curry. No, regular Curry. Curry that you
Aisha?
Oh. So I make curry, and I usually do it like once or twice a month, and I usually make a big pot, and we have it like 2 days. So I made it last night, and then we had it for dinner, and then we had it again today. Greg's always asking for the recipe, and then rather than writing it down, I'm gonna just talk about it, and maybe we can get closed captioning to help write it down. But basically what I do is you chop up some onion, garlic, chilies if you want it hot, and some ginger. You can just use like the pre-squeezed stuff or whatever. You throw that all into the pot, and then you throw in clove, cinnamon, and cardamom while the onions and stuff are cooking. And when they get like translucent, you spread out a little spot in the pot, and you just put in some tomato paste, let that cook down, then mix it in with the onions and stuff. And then when that is kind of like cooked up a little bit, that's when you like throw in like a big can of like diced tomatoes, or like like those big like green cans of like Italian tomatoes or whatever. You just throw that in there, or you can cut up your own onion or tomatoes as well. Whatever you prefer. I like an even onion to tomato ratio. Garlic is, I think you can always use more garlic. especially in something like this. And ginger's, I only put a little bit because you don't want it to be too overpowering. But like I had one big can of tomatoes and two big onions, and that tended to be about the same. So you throw that in there, and then after you do that, you throw in your spices. So typically chili powder, turmeric, um, salt, or you salt like the onions earlier, and then you can throw some more salt in. Salt's, makes things flavorful. But chili powder, turmeric, coriander. You can throw in some curry powder if you want, cumin. Basically whatever spices you want. Don't overdo it, but make sure that it goes in there, and you stir that in, and then also a bunch of cashews if you want. If you don't have a nut allergy, throw in those cashews, and then you kind of like lower the heat. Heat was on kind of like medium this whole time, and then once you stir in the spices, it comes to like another boil. You lower the heat to like medium low, probably low, and then you can just let it cook for like an hour. So you get those cashews like kind of all soft and stuff like that. Like the longer the better, because you're basically just stewing it all together. And then whenever that kind of gets to the point that you're happy with it, you take like an immersion blender if you have one, and you kind of blend it up, right? And just like make it as smooth as you want. I like it pretty smooth. You can also remove it from the heat if you don't have an immersion blender. Put it into a regular blender if you wanted, and then kind of re-put it back into the pot, heat it back up. But that's like hard. Immersion blenders aren't really that expensive, so like I would definitely get one. They're very useful for soups and curries. And then if you like coconut milk, you throw that in there. And then if you're putting any veggies in there, throw them in. Then after you blended everything up, I like paneer. I throw paneer in there, like usually like 5 minutes before it's done cooking, because you don't want to get like too overdone. And yeah, you can put whatever else you want in. I sometimes do heavy cream, sometimes do coconut milk. I've done almond milk. It's not as good, but but usually the cashews kind of give it as like the nutty creaminess that I've mentioned on the show before. And it tastes great. You put it over rice. You can just slop it up with some naan, whatever you want to do. It's a free goddamn country, so you do it.
Huge, honestly. Clip it.
Clip it. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so for now you can find me on the x.com, at Mr. Viz, Mr. spelled out, VIZ. I'm also hanging out in the Buzz Discord. If you're not in the Buzz Discord, you got to hop in there. It's a great place, talking about Flesh and Blood. We're talking about all kinds of games. I just got hooked on Lucio Ball again. So I'm usually in there playing some soccer, Overwatch, Rocket League thing. Also, we have merch going on right now.
Yes.
I have a link here. One sec.
Ooh,
put it in the chat. I don't know if it's in the link tree, but
it might be actually.
We have a promotion going on right now with Very Good Embroidery from our friend Jeff, Pittsburgh Jeff, the Drakayev merch. I posted the link in the chat. We did these 100 episode shirts. We're only doing them for one more week. The website says that it's going until today, but because we were gone, we wanted to make sure we had time to tell everybody about them. We passed 100 episodes. Somehow Tommy made it. I don't know how it happened.
I don't know.
But the heart might have. I thought the heart was going to give out at some point, but he got there. But yeah, so we're doing some merch as well, working on some sort of static link at some point. But for now, we're just doing what's on the site. The last day to order will be next Thursday. So the 103rd episode, I guess, of Fresh and Buds. That's the last day, and then we'll try and get these shipped out. I believe Jeff's going to try and get them in everybody's hands before Nationals.
Cool.
So, yeah. So that's my plug. I gotta get some curry though. Maybe I'll go to Indian Place for lunch tomorrow.
Oh, you should. Please check out the merch at Fresh Buds Pod on Twitter. X is going to be X.com is going to be a brutal one to put into the the search bar. I'm gonna tell you that
Yeah.
much. But
I gotta make money off of this. I don't know if you saw that TikTok where too good.
I did. But what else? Oh yeah, Bud's Discord, Fresh and Buds. Tomorrow we got Pablo Pintor on. Pablo's a
So
huge
excited.
bud. We look a little bit alike, apparently. I was thinking it even when he was on. I was like, maybe if I was from Spain, that was what I would look like. But he's great, and he really kind of brings the big bud energy, and it's a good time. And yeah, everybody treat each other with kindness, and um, when you're about to make a decision, ask yourself this: what would the tall Timmy have done in this situation? And do that, because it was usually the right thing. So, except for leaving Flesh and Blood. But
Well, sometimes that choice will be, doing a spoiler video with some chairs outside your LGS, and the answer is always do it.
yeah, I mean that was incredible. But all right, folks, have a good night. Be good. Love you all.
Love you all. Bellow.